Who's the worst actor you have seen on screen? I often say to myself, and occasionally out loud, was that the best take? When Gal Gadot is on screen. She's fronting a new spy film sure to be modeled into a series on Netflix, and it's unintentionally very funny. Emma Watson makes acting look really difficult. I'm really not sure why she's so in love with herself. Keanu Reeves let me finish in Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula. His accent and his acting are so terrible. The movie has an army of Oscar-winning actors, and then there's still babyface Bill Ted Keanu doing an awful attempt at a British accent like Hermione. He's totally a vampire. There's a show on Max called 30 Coins. The character of Mercedes was played by an actress named Macarena Gomez, and she is the worst I've ever seen. Everything is over the top, her pronunciation of her own language is terrible, and every scene she is in ends the same way. She's terrible. Jerry Seinfeld in Seinfeld. Okay, maybe not the worst actor I've seen, but it's pretty wild how bad he is as an actor compared to how successful the show is. All the heavy lifting in the show is done by the writing and performances of his co-stars. Feel like people gonna hate this, but Hayden Christensen, I loved him in Star Wars because I feel like his immaturity and whiny attitude fit the character, but I tried watching other films he'd been in and they all suck pretty bad. I really think Julia Roberts has done some very poor acting on screen. There is a television actress, Sophie Skeleton, who is so bad, she drove me away from a much beloved show. I have to mute the television when she is on. Casey Affleck. I was an extra in that awful Jesse James movie. Casey was not only a piss poor actor, he was a complete douche to the extras. Harassing young women, some of them underage, and generally being a prick. Back in the 90s, Nancy Kerrigan hosted SNL. Watching her try to act was the most painful thing I have ever seen. It turns out figure skating and getting your knee bashed are not adequate training for acting on live TV. Controversial choice, I know, but Robin to be a good but somewhat hysterical person, and acted out the same persona in whatever role he films or dire. All of them, because of this. Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings was an achievement. And there is very, very little you can ding them for. There is just one thing I wish they'd done differently. Liv Tyler, all those Muppet kids like Seth Green, Andy Samberg, Seth Rogen, geez, another. No disrespect to any of them, just leave it to sensible actors and actresses please. Cosmo Jarvis, and it isn't even close. I always assumed he had a weird affliction and was just some nepo baby riding on others' coattails, but no. That's actual just his acting. Plenty of no-names in movies and such these days who can act, but if you're talking about someone we mostly all know, then Zoe Kravitz. I think she's a terrible actress. Leslie Jones. I hated her on SNL. She just wasn't funny, and I don't think I saw a single sketch with her where she didn't stumble over her lines or mess something up. Gal Gadot, or however you spell her name. WW84 was just so bad I turned it off after 10 minutes. I never just stopped watching movies, but that one was just the worst. Gal Gadot. Not even anything to do with her politics, she's literally just so terrible. She's only in big productions because she's pretty, she truly cannot act. Brett Favre reading lines off the back of his hand in Something About Mary. The only believable dialogue was "I'm in town to play the Dolphins, dumbass." Justin Long. He has a very punchable face and the way he delivers lines makes me want to punch his face. He literally makes me twitch with irritation. If you mean big screen, Michael's Adult Children and Godfather 3. If you mean any screen, well, pretty much any amateur student film or YouTube skit. I know I'm gonna get flamed for this, but in the past 10 years, Nicolas Cage has done some terrible movies. The acting has been absolutely atrocious. Everyone other than Clint Eastwood and Gran Torino. And the guy in Juice who goes up to Tupac and says, "Ever see Chinatown? Motherfucker." I don't know if he's the worst, but I'm really annoyed with current SNL cast member Michael Longfellow. He seems like an AI talking mannequin to me. Will Ferrell can't act, and has never been funny, and I used to watch SNL since before he was a member. His skits were just painful to watch. Nicolas Cage, but somehow he gets a free pass for bad acting because he plays into his cheesiness and the audience loves it for some reason. Rihanna was not a plausible actor playing a human. I guess she was slightly less bad in Valerian since she didn't have to. Florence Pugh, I was afraid she would mess up in Oppenheimer. Fortunately she didn't have that many minutes on screen. Usually it's more of a problem with the director, not the actor, so I'll go ahead and say both, which is Tommy Wiseau. Comment. I hate to say it. He has the worst delivery and stiffest body of anyone I've seen acting at that level. My uncle in his porn movie, See Mon Uncle, You could at least have brought some tools, you're meant to be my plumber. The entire cast of licks. But that's kinda why I liked that show. That and I was a horny 14-year-old lol. Jai Courtney. He's not necessarily bad so much as he's thoroughly bland. No on-screen charisma whatsoever. Charlie Hunnam has got to be up there. His performance in Green Street is one of the worst I've ever seen, for how everyone jerks off to the show so often. Kaylee from Firefly is just so incredibly bad at acting. Me on the CCTV, pretending not to notice the hot chick in front of me at the supermarket waiting line. Saw James Brolin doing an Italian accent in a Monk episode that was awful. Good thing he married well. Seagal and Wiseau are both bad, but Wiseau puts love into it. Seagal just eats it on a sandwich. Either the main kid from Billy Madison or the pitcher kid who gets paddled and Dazed and Confused. I don't remember the names of good actors, now you expect me to remember the names of bad ones? Mark Wahlberg in The Happening. Watched it for the laughs. Didn't make it all the way through. Really, it's likely a random guy whose name I don't know in a D-level Hallmark-esque TV movie. So many names being thrown out that I've never even heard of, and I'm big on TV and movies. My honest answer is Irvin Welsh's cameo in Trainspotting, but he's not an actor. Anthony Mackie is pretty bad. Louisa Jacobson can't act to save her life. Kristen Stewart. Katherine Heigl. Dwayne Johnson. Jason Momoa. Ellen Pompeo. Ant-Man. You mean to tell me I'm supposed to believe he's playing Paul Rudd? Also, Neil Breen. That said, I love him anyhow, he's just wired different. Taylor Swift attempting to act in Valentine's Day was definitely a choice. Cast of both the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie and Dragon Ball Evolution. Denise Crosby in early episodes of STTNG. She got better, but still. Gabrielle Sidibe. She was on SNL and that confirmed that she cannot act. Me, pretending to be happy when deep down I feel like Jacques Mayol. I think Idris Elba is pretty shite and always touted as being great. I don't know if he's the worst, but Ashton Kutcher is really shitty. Shia LaBeouf has the on-screen charisma of nails on a chalkboard. Everyone who's on those short-form American Horror Story shows. Keanu Reeves. But he is such a lovely guy. I Dawn, T just like him. The blonde lady on Breaking Bad. I don't believe her, I'm sorry. Almost every German actor in German movies. It's hilarious. The entire cast of Secret Life of the American Teenager. Schwarzenegger is terrible, his delivery particularly. Andie MacDowell. God, that woman really couldn't act. Me. I played in a B movie as a taxi driver. I suck. Michael Baer. Steven Seagal. It's kind of a tie.